at 6:30 p.m. I call it to order. The next on the agenda is to adjourn to executive session with a roll call vote pursuant to MGL C-30A, Section 21A2, to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel and review central office job descriptions. Regular open session to resume at approximately 7 p.m. Mr. Fortin?
Aye.
Ms. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Edwards?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Mr. Duvall?
Aye.
Mr. Schiff?
Aye.
And I am an aye. And we will adjourn to executive session and come back approximately at 7 p.m. Hello, and we are welcoming back our committee to our regular meeting. Next on the agenda is the approval of meeting minutes from February 26th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
Excellent. Next on the agenda is our MRHS student representative. I saw Maggie. There she is. Welcome.
Hi. It's been a while since I've seen you guys. I hope everybody managed the storm okay. But I'm glad to be back here. So recently we wrapped up our winter sports with our awards night last night. And we had a lot of great seasons across all of the different sports. So girls basketball lost in the preliminary round against Seekonk, and then boys basketball lost in the preliminary round against Dover Sherborne. So congratulations to both of those teams, a couple seniors on both of them. So hopefully had a good season for them, and then a good seasons next year. And then girls hockey made it to the round of 16 before losing to Medfield, and then boys hockey made it to the Elite 8 before losing to St. Bernard's. Also, big congratulations to the hockey teams. Went very far, and there was a lot of excitement about those two teams, so that's always good. And then our cheerleaders finished 4th in the Division 4 state championships, and will be competing in the New England regional competition next Saturday, March 21st at Worcester State University. Very exciting, so good luck to them. Our cheerleaders always do very good. And then congratulations to our boys and girls indoor track teams, who both finished in the top 10 at the Division 5 state meet. The boys finished 4th after winning the Cape and Island League Championship in only their first year as a varsity sport. And at the end of February, the boys 4x200 relay team finished 16th at their New England regional meet. And then our girls indoor track team finished 10th at the Division 5 state meet. And I'd also like to congratulate our 8 indoor track athletes who will be competing in the Nike Nationals in New York and the New Balance Nationals in Boston today through Saturday. So congratulations to Alexa Ford, Lucy Cortese, Varara Conley, Zeta Thomas, Alik Brown, Jonathan Segazy, Sean Edom, and Jacob Conlon. This is an incredible accomplishment, as I was just talking to people over there about. I feel like our track team has really sprung up in the past couple of years, so this is great, and wishing them good luck at their meets, and hopefully we'll hear from them soon. And overall, we had a very successful winter sports season, so I'm excited to see what the spring sports will bring us next week. So also in February, our school celebrated the 100th day of school, which is insane that this year has gone by so fast, and I'm very happy that I'm a senior when there was a week off of school. But
Thanks a lot.
yeah, but I only have 2 more months left. You guys have 3. So, yeah, very, very fast year for me, probably just because it's my senior year, but hopefully everybody else felt like it went kind of fast. And then over the break, some MRHS students traveled to Greece and Italy with Miss Peters. She's here to talk about that trip and convince you guys to go on another one, which sounds super fun because Greece and Italy together, I think, sounds amazing, and excited to hear from her. And the Harlem Wizards coming back this year to support our sophomore class, so hopefully everyone will be able to attend. It's always a good time, so I hope to see everybody there. I love to see some of the teachers get involved with that too. It's always fun. And then March 5th, the high school hosted the Empty Bowl Full Hearts fundraiser to benefit the Family Table Collaborative of Cape Cod. This is always a great event that gets a lot of different people involved, so it's nice to see all the different artwork and all the people that come out to support our community. And of course, this week we have the Addams Family. I saw the show Tuesday night, and definitely one of my favorite shows that I've ever seen. Super funny. It's a lot of fun, great music. The cast is amazing. We have a lot of seniors this year in the cast and the pit band, so be awesome if all of you guys went to see it. I think it's definitely one of the best shows we put on in the past couple of years. So we have obviously a show right now, show tomorrow, and then a matinee on Saturday and a show on Saturday night. So you guys are definitely going to love it. I think one of the things I'll miss the most about graduating is that I won't get to see the plays as often here. I think that's what we do really well is our theater and music department. So, yeah, and it's always so fun to go see the shows that we put on. It makes a lot of great memories, but we have a couple chorus concerts coming up, the Pops concert, and then senior arts night, so I'll be back to talk about those. But that is all for me today. So next time, hopefully I'll have some updates on some spring sports, and you all will have seen the play. So very nice to see you guys.
Excellent. Any questions?
I just want to second the play because it
Yes.
was fantastic. I was
Yes.
smiling all the next day.
Yes.
It's just, go if you can, because it
Yes.
was really fun.
Tim Gray is amazing in it.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
All right, anything else? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, public comment. Seeing none, we'll move right on to reports and discussion. We are going to flip the first two items on that part of the agenda because we have some eager students here ready to share it with us. So we are going to first talk to the MRHS Discovery Program at the Marine Biological Laboratories. Thanks. Come on up.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Solani. I'm a junior at Monomoy.
Hi, my name's Aubrey Pillsbury. I'm also a junior in high school.
So we were able to experience the MBL Woods Hole research program for 3 days through AP Biology and AP Environmental classes. And it was a great experience, and we are here to talk to you guys about it today. So, although I don't specifically want to do something in biology, this was a great opportunity to experience what it's like to be in college as an rising senior. I feel that it was very important to see what it's going to be like to live in a dorm, which we got to do for 3 days. And we also got to do hands-on labs as well as individualized lectures. And working with doctors specializing in this field opened my eyes for many opportunities in my future, and I would really like to learn more about those things that we got to learn.
Also, working with professionals in a lab and providing that personal experience is something that we can't really achieve in school. We got the opportunity to work with real equipment and real experts in a real lab. And this kind of exposure is something that can really help a student find their love in biology. For my personal experience, I wasn't exactly super into biology until I went on this trip, and it really kind of opened my eyes to show that biology is something that is there's a lot of different topics you can go into, and there are a lot of different things that not a lot of people know about. We were also given lectures during our stay here, in which we were able to deep dive into some really interesting topics like evolution and microbiology, which is something we don't really have time to discuss with in school or go into as deeply with it. And hearing these topics directly from scientists really helps expose us to new ideas and what, like I said, biology really entails of, and it is extremely helpful to students who want or plan to pursue a career in biology.
And so we did a gel electrophoresis experiment where we extracted our DNA and tested it to be able to tell what gene we carry with our taste buds. And so with that, we could see what intensity we have to taste bitter foods. So some of us were super tasters, and some of us were medium and then light tasters.
Also, during our stay, we were taking on a tour around the place. We got to go around the lab and into the library where there were original old books. I think the oldest one there was 470-ish years old, and there was also a book that had an original signature from Charles Darwin himself. And we also got to go into the little aquarium that they have and look at all of the marine animals that they were testing on.
One of our days during the trip, we were able to go outside in Woods Hole and extract anything we wanted to research from the environment. I took 3 samples, one from the ocean water, and one from the sand, and one from live seaweed. This was a very individualized and personal experiment that was fun and creative, as we got to choose what we were interested in learning more about from around us.
Here's more pictures of us that when we were in the aquarium. I think those are horseshoe crabs, I want to say, that we were holding. They have a ton of little mini little environments that hold like different little tiny species in it that we got to learn about.
And that horseshoe crab on the right, that's a female, and one thing that I didn't know before going on the trip was that female horseshoe crabs are much larger than males, and I would think that it would be the other way around, but it isn't, so.
Here are the results from our lab. On the right, you can see that there are lots of varieties. I think if the little streak is lower, I think that means that you were a bitter taster, because that's what we experimented on. And then if the little drag is shorter, then that means that you don't exactly taste bitter things as well.
And that's all that we have, and now some of our other classmates have some things to share for you guys.
Hi, my name's Riley Vath,
And I'm Isabella Cruz.
and we're juniors at Monomoy Regional High School, and we recently had the opportunity to attend a 3-day MBL science trip in Woods Hole in Falmouth. This trip gave us a chance to experience science in a way that we hadn't normally done in a classroom. One of our favorite parts was visiting the Loeb Lab, where we participated in the DNA extraction. It was exciting to work with real scientific tools and see how DNA can actually be analyzed.
Another activity we really enjoyed was learning about extremophiles through an experiment with brine shrimp. It was fascinating to see how certain organisms can survive in extreme conditions and how scientists study those adaptations. We also spent time collecting outdoor samples. Being able to be outside and directly study the environment helped us directly understand the concepts we learned in AP Environmental Science and made the science feel more real and hands-on.
We also had the chance to tour the library and learn about the resources that scientists had to use when conducting research. It was interesting to see how much information and collaboration goes into scientific discoveries. One thing that made the trip especially memorable was working with direct and real scientists such as Kristen Gribbler. They were engaging and answered our questions and made the experience fun while showing us what scientific research was really like.
We also stayed in dorms during the trip, which made the experience feel like being on a college campus and gave us time to connect with our classmates outside of the classroom. Overall, the MBL science trip helped us see how environmental science connects real research in the world around us. We are grateful for the opportunity and the support that makes experiences like this possible. Thank you for supporting opportunities that allow students to learn beyond the classroom.
Hi, I'm Alexis Good. I'm a junior here. I do AP Biology, and I got the opportunity to go on the MBL trip. And I wanted to mention before I started that in my AP Lang class, I just had to write an essay about how exploring the unknown is so valuable. And I say this because I talked about personal growth, development, and experience. And this trip was so out of my comfort zone because I don't necessarily intend to pursue a major in biology, but my friend Caitlin actually convinced me to go on it because it was such a rare opportunity, and I actually convinced her to be here tonight, so I just thought that was a little funny. But I learned, which I probably should have known, but I didn't, was that they're the #1 marine biology lab in the country, and I thought that was just incredible. And when we got there, you get your key cards and you go to your dorms with your buddy, and you're expected to be at breakfast on time and your class on time. And it, as a rising senior, which we've already briefed on, it kind of shakes the nerves of what, in the upcoming next 4 years will look like for us. And it kind of it prepared us more, I feel like. And when we're arriving on our labs, we got to do a lot of hands-on experiments like the brine shrimp, our DNA extraction, and all of those things. And it's so cool to just know that the material that we learn in our AP biology class we're allowed to apply outside of just a classroom. And I thought that was just so cool, especially with, some of the smartest scientists that we have in the country. And, our class, it just makes the classwork and all the studying and effort that we put into it so much more, meaningful to us. And, I feel like the lower classmen who will take these classes next year should have the equal opportunity to have this experience. And I think just us being represented by, the University of Chicago, it's just a lot cooler. And I think it would just be very inspirational and motivational to those who may actually want to pursue a career in STEM. So I hope those kids get the choice too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
I have one question. It seems that most of you had maybe an ancillary interest in biology. You know, you
Yes.
really, that wasn't like you were biology, you wanted to study biology in college or whatever. So what was the thing that motivated you? Because it really sounds like an incredible experience, but what motivated you to go do this when you may have had a slight interest in biology, but just not an overwhelming thing in microbiology, maritime biology?
Well, I mean, for me, I think that it was really the experience, like Lexi said, about going out of your comfort zone, which I think that a lot of people aren't really comfortable doing. And it's something that kids our age really need to do more, and I feel that this opportunity is such a, like, this,
Rare.
it's so rare.
Yeah.
And it's specifically this, the MBL Woods Hole, like this lab, it just seems so interesting to me. And I just thought that, why not give it a try? You know?
I have something to add. I don't know what I want to do when I'm older, and I've always loved science and then like everything around that. And, like, I'm definitely more of like math science, and going on the trip not like only gave me like clarity for, like, I love doing hands-on things, like that's how I learn best, and like this just gave me more clarity of like a path that I might want to pursue in the future.
Sure, that's great.
Also, having the opportunity to do something so local is great because kids in the city don't have such an environment as Cape Cod to explore as we're on a peninsula. So it's just great to use our local resources such as the MBL lab.
Also,
Great.
it's such like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Not a lot of high schools give chances to go somewhere overnight for like more than a day. And I think it's good to, like we've already discussed, go and stay somewhere that kind of like simulates what it's like to be at college, especially for older kids.
Great responses, it's great.
Anything else? I have a question. It might not be for you girls. It might be from somebody behind you. Is this an opportunity that we can repeat?
Yeah, as far as we know.
Do you mind coming to the mic? Sylvia? Sorry.
Yeah, so as far as I know, this was covered by grant money that MBL has received, and it sounds to me they expect to continue to get that, and my correspondence with the woman who was running it said, we look forward to having you next year, we'd love to have you again, so, fingers crossed, we would love to offer it to children again next year, so.
Excellent. Sounds so exciting. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for waiting.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night. Okay, so we're going to flip back to the first reading of the 2026-2027 school calendar, and we have option A and option B. Dr. Millen?
Gives me the energy to keep going here. So Robin Millen, Assistant Superintendent. So we're bringing forth tonight two drafts of the 2026-27 calendar for next year. We're bringing two drafts to the school committee for your review for a couple of reasons. There's some outstanding kind of impacts that we have to decide on in the next couple of weeks, but we wanted to make sure that we got two calendars out to our families. The only thing that's different between these two calendars is the start and the end date. But families can see these calendars, they can know when the PLC days are, they can know when the vacation days are, they can know when the school committee days are, those will all remain the same. But we have a couple of impacts. One impact that we have next year is that Labor Day is awfully late. So typically when we have Labor Day start so late in the year, we have a contractual obligation with our union to have students start after Labor Day, but our union has been very gracious to always write a MOU to date to have us start a little bit earlier before the Labor Day weekend. So on the calendar number 1, the first one in your calendar, the start date is August 26th and 27th for staff, and it is September 1st for students. So that's before the Labor Day weekend. That is great because the impact if we don't start then is that you can imagine if we shift it back a week to start after Labor Day, then our end date is almost where our end date this year is going to be this current grade year, June 26th. That's without snow days or foul weather days. So it really puts us kind of in a precarious, situation. Should we never have a blizzard again, it won't make a difference. But if we have some foul weather days, it really puts us close to that end of the school year of June 30th, which is the maximum date for the state to move back to. So that is the first calendar. We do have an MOU with our union. Should we choose that calendar, we're all set to go with that. The second impact we've had, though, is the blizzard of this year has moved our calendar this year back to a very late ending date. What the impact on that is our building project. So we had anticipated to be out of the middle school a week earlier than we're actually going to be out of the middle school to give access and free rein to the middle school to begin the siding project. So we're trying to gather some information from the construction companies, our architect, our OPMs, all of those people to see what the actual impact is of not vacating the building on the date we thought we could originally vacate. So the second calendar allows us to go back to the original contractual calendar, which starts everybody, all the students after Labor Day, which the teachers would come back on September 2nd, and then the start date for students would be September 8th. And again, that puts us way back in the calendar in June, but it does afford us another week should we need that on the back end of the building project. So I'm not asking for a vote today. I probably will not ask you to vote in 2 weeks. We'll have some more information from the construction company in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll come back with a final draft. But we did want to get this out to the public so at least families would know when the vacations and those and the early dismissal days were.
Questions?
I have a question. Can this be revised?
Can it be revised?
Yes, either one of these.
It can. What are you suggesting?
On both of them, December 23rd is not considered a no-school day. I say that that might be something that could be changed to potentially increase instructional effectiveness and student participation.
Okay.
Considering that would be the day before Christmas Eve. I mean, I can see in the one where we start September 1st, you could remove the 4th, which is marked as a no-school day, and swap that. I don't know how you would do that with the other one.
So for the calendar number 1, the Friday before Labor Day, are you talking about?
Yes.
So the Friday before Labor Day is in our contract as being a no-school day. So that's a contractual obligation. In the calendar and I think what we were thinking was because we are starting early, even though it's before Labor Day, we would honor that Friday off, similar to what we would on after Labor Day. But I certainly can bring that,
I just think that when you're trying to get people back to school, and you're trying to get them back in,
Yeah.
and you give them a 4-day weekend, it kind of reduces the effectiveness, and it's
Right.
kind of redundant in some
I hear
sort
it.
of way.
Right.
But that's just my idea.
So if it's not going to violate the contract, then we can have that discussion, sure. And the other date was December 23rd, did you say?
Yes.
So that is a full school day. It's not a
Yes.
half day, it is a full school day.
Yes.
Okay.
You were thinking that it shouldn't be a school day?
Yes.
Oh, to swap out the 4th.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay, I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Anything else?
Just on option A, or the first one, the September 1st and September 3rd are in orange. Is that just to highlight the first day? Those are half days for everyone?
Their first days, so September 1st on calendar number 1 is the first day for grades 1 through 12. And then our kindergartner would start on the 3rd, so that's why it's in orange. And then our pre-K programs would start
Richard
Okay,
Keith
the
said
8th.
And then
The-
orange down at the bottom just says it's a half
days,
day.
yes.
So that's what I'm
So,
just trying to
I
clarify.
told Roberta that I said, according to Roberta Simmons, she can make this prettier when we get to the final draft, because I was also, there was a date where we have a start date, but it's also a school committee date So it's not in blue, so it looks like we only have one school committee meeting on one calendar in September, and the other one, it looks like we have two. We do have two. We were just she was trying to figure out how to make it half orange and half blue.
Okay.
So we can make it prettier and make sure that the colors make sense to people, for sure.
Okay, and then same thing for the option B, the second one, so June 23rd, that's just highlighted to show the last day?
That's the last day.
Okay.
And that is a half day.
That is half day, okay.
So one thing I do also want to mention just briefly is the commissioner has not, has put a hard end date to this year's calendar on June 26th, which is our current last day. There's some confusion out there, though, because we make our calendars on 185 days, which is in the statutes. You put calendar out for 185 days with 180 minimum days of school. So it leaves you the 5 foul weather days, I'll call them. We've had 6, so I do have a email out to him questioning whether or not we can ask for a waiver. But if we are to be able to request a waiver, it doesn't mean we'll get one, but we also will only be able to waive 1 day. So just keep that in mind as you're making those decisions. We're not going to get 6 days off of our current calendar. Okay.
So we do not need to vote on this at our next meeting?
I don't believe so unless we have more information from the construction companies, but I
Okay.
would say it's going to be a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you. All right, moving right along to the MRHS trip to Italy recap and 26-27 trip request.
Hi, everybody. Sarah Peters, Latin teacher here at the high school. Freshly back from a trip over February vacation. We landed Saturday evening. Oh, I thought it was this. It's 7:30 at night. Guys, hi. We landed on Saturday evening right before the storm. And then we wish we just stayed. If only. But thank you for approving that trip. 13 high school students came with me and one additional chaperone, Andy Matheson, and had the trip of a lifetime. We visited Athens for 2 nights, Sorrento and Pompeii, and Naples for 2 nights, and then Rome for 2 nights. Our group was on the smaller side, so we joined with another school from Nashville, North Carolina, who had 9 travelers and became best friends immediately. And it was excellent to have other perspectives in every place that we went. We danced in Athens, we immersed in ancient world in Pompeii, we ate the best food Rome had to offer, and the students were perfect. I have 0 issues or complaints about any behaviors or expectations of those kids. Their feedback was, can I go again? And then for the few who were with me who were my Latin students, they were thrilled to be almost mini tour guides. They knew what we were talking about, and they thought they saw it in real life, and they were like, wow, this is what I've been studying for 3 or 4 years. From the point of view as a tour leader and planner, I did a lot of comparing because I was on the Greece trip in 2025. And this was a tour company change for Monomoy. And I'm speechless at how happy I am that we made this change for this country. I won't speak to the other countries, but we went to the same places and had an even better experience than we had last year. The flights were comfortable and direct, the hotels were walkable, the food was beyond abundant and delicious, and their staff was brilliant. I'm a Latin teacher and I have high expectations, and I felt so comfortable with them leading that I could just take care of the kids. I didn't feel like I had to add all these stories that they needed to know. My favorite moment was, I have had these students since they were in 5th grade. So one student celebrated his 16th birthday in Naples, where his favorite food is pizza. And we pulled off a pizza birthday lunch party for him. And his smile was the whole worth going, all the headaches for planning. I noticed that my group was small, and I was surprised. So I asked and learned that it has to do with winter sports, not being flexible with games during February vacation. So the students asked me to plan another trip as soon as possible in April, where the coaches and schedule is a little bit more flexible, especially since we go to school until June 26th. So I am asking, with the same itinerary I came to at this time last year, to run a trip to Rome and Sorrento, hopefully for just Monomoy students in April of 2027, using the same company, same itinerary, which you have in front of you. Only update was 2026 pricing. Questions? Comments? Concerns?
Sounds amazing.
Chaperone volunteers? Yeah. If we get more kids, I can take more of you, so.
Perfect. So can we vote on this the next time?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So
Do you need anything else?
I don't think so. No, we're good.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is a MRHS donation to Animal Victory.
Good evening, school committee. Michael McMillan, school business manager. This is another request from a student activity club at the high school to donate $60 to Animal Victory, charity that supports prevention of cruelty to animals. They've raised the funds, I think, by selling dog treats.
Do you have a motion? Ms. Gray?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the donation of $60 from the Monomoy Regional High School Animal Welfare Club account to Animal Victory.
Second?
Second.
Sorry. Any discussion? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the updated school committee meeting schedule. I know it has something to do with the superintendent, well, I know it has to do with the superintendent evaluation vote. Is someone from that subcommittee willing to share?
So, I know, I hadn't done it in the past, but I know Jackie kind of went through and recommended this change just to make sure that there was enough time for the first and second reading of the superintendent evaluation prior to the elections and the committee changing over. So that was the reason for her request. She knows the ins and outs better than I do, but.
Dr. Carpenter?
I also fully apologize. I think there was to be a school committee meeting on May 7th where the vote would happen, but the committee felt that it might be important that I'm there for my last evaluation, but my daughter graduates from college then, so I thought I'd rather be at her graduation, so the decision was made to slide it back a week, if possible. You're more than welcome to discuss without me, though.
Are we okay with this shift?
So this eliminates the meeting on the 7th?
Correct, and then we'll have 2 back-to-back meetings. All right, so we are good to switch that schedule. All right, next up is our student services budget report. Yep.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you. Melissa McGuire, Director of Student Services. I apologize for my technology faux pas back there. My watch is never on and apparently decided to go on. So tonight I want to give you a very global overview of student services and specifically special education kind of budget in terms of, what do the dollars mean for special education in our budget. As you know, or I hope you know by now, that special education is so complex. It's that picture up there, but we figure it out. We figure out what we need to do for our students, and we make everything work. So in order to do that, I have to first and foremost obviously thank our students, our families, and our staff, because without that level of collaboration and support by all of these stakeholders, we couldn't make it work. So I want to thank everyone first and foremost. So just to give an overview of the responsibility of the Student Service Office, we're responsible for multiple programs, not just special education, but for special education, preschool programs, nursing, counseling, related services, coordination of state agency services, Section 504, foster care, homelessness, and the enforcement of state and federal compliance standards, and also through the Office of Civil Rights. We oversee that and serve as the Title IX coordinator. So there's lots of facets to the Student Service Office. So for an overview, I'm going to really walk through our special education services, our related services, our clinical services, extended school year, out-of-district, financial, budget, and what additional services and supports we provide. So the first thing in understanding special education, we look at what's called a three-prong question or three-pronged test that we need to look at for qualification under our state regulations and our federal regulations. And the first one is, does a student have a disability? Okay, and there's 10 categories of disability. I think part of the confusion often comes with a diagnosis versus a disability. And so when we're evaluating for an educational disability, it has to meet the criteria under these 10 qualifying disabilities. The second question we have to answer, is the student making effective progress, or are they failing to make effective progress in the general education curriculum with the tiered interventions and supports that we provide through general education? And then the third part of that is the disability in fact a result of that lack of progress? So those are the three-pronged questions that we have to answer when we're determining whether a student is eligible for special education. So our enrollment, this is what gets really, really tricky, and because you can't pin down a number for enrollment, because eligibility is an ongoing, every day, every month, throughout the year, process. So when we report to the state our October numbers, our enrollment was 301 students receiving special education services. We have always been under the state percentage of students identified with disabilities. So we're currently at 18.4% compared to 19.4% across the state. Now jump to January when I started to write this report. When I ran the numbers, we had 281 students who were receiving special education services. So you can see there's a difference already from October to January. And so these numbers change, and I'm going to show you at the next slide the real level of complexity. So when we look at that enrollment for the number in January, we look at, across our schools and across our preschool programming. And that number does not include the number of students who come in for what's called itinerant services or walk-in services. So you may have a student who is at a private school or homeschooled, and they are receiving special education services, but they come in for those services. So we have 3 students who are receiving those services. So now here's where it gets really, really complex. Throughout the year, we are evaluating students to see if they're found eligible for special education. We're also reevaluating students that receive special education to see if they continue to require special education. So as you can see right now, the current number of evaluations that are in process are 30, okay? 30 evaluations with 12 that are still in process. And then as you look down, you can have a student who was not found eligible from an initial evaluation. So we have a total of 11 students who were evaluated, not found eligible. We have students who were terminated due to their special education evaluation and no longer require it. And then we also have students who might move. And then what I looked at is how many additional 3-year evaluations. By regulation, every 3 years we must evaluate a student to determine whether they continue to be eligible. So by the end of the year, from January to the end of the year, we have another 72 evaluations that are in place. So if I go back to that little picture, as you can see, it's very, very complex. So it's constantly moving, it's constantly changing. So having said that now, let's take a look at the range of our programs. So going from our youngest munchkins in our preschool programs, we now have 2 preschool programs. We have our PUPS preschool program over at Chatham Elementary, which is a full-day program for our children, and then we have our integrated preschool program that serves 3- and 4-year-olds. And this program is specifically designed for students with disabilities, and that program is different than the PUPS preschool program because of that criteria for our students with disabilities. Not to say that students with disabilities aren't serviced in PUPS preschool program, but our integrated preschool program is very specifically related to our students with disabilities. So as we kind of move up the types of services that we provide, our first and our want for all students is an inclusion program where they are learning alongside their peers in their classrooms, and they might be receiving some supports in that classroom, but that is our goal for all students, is to be included. We also have an academic support program where students are going to a special education teacher and they're working on their goals, they're working on executive functioning, they're working on social emotional skills, they're working on transitional skills, they're working on a variety of skills that are going to help them to be more successful in their inclusion environment. And the third level of support we have is called a modified class, where they are pulled into a special education classroom with a special education student, and that's where they receive their math, their English language arts, history or science, or whatever targeted skill area that they need to work on based on their disability. In our elementary programs, we have several, and over the 10 years that I've been here, we have grown to have, I think when I came, we had 4 programs. We now have 9 programs in our schools that support students. So in Chatham, we have our SEAL program, our Students Engaged in Active Learning. This is grade, pre-K through 4, and these students require specialized instruction to meet their needs. In Harwich, we have our ISLE program, Individualized Student Learning Environment. And again, this is a pre-K through 4 program for students who require really intensive specialized instruction. And then at Harwich Elementary, we have our SURF program, Students Understanding Real Feelings. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a theme to our names. People don't like me for it, but I kind of like them. But our SURF program is really to support our students in K through 4 who are struggling with social, emotional, or behavioral challenges. In our middle school, we have 2 programs. We have our SHELLS program, our students having excellent life learning success. Again, these students have significant challenges and require specialized programming, routine, structure with a special education teacher. They're also working on vocational skills, daily living skills. And then we have our TIDE program, which is teaching independent desired emotions for our students who have some social, emotional, and behavioral challenges. At our high school, we have actually 4 programs. The first one is our SAIL program, Students Acquiring Independent Learning. And again, there's a really nice flow of students who have received programming at the elementary school and the middle school and up to the high school, who continue to have significant challenges and require that specialized programming and instruction. And then we have our SHORE program, which is our 18 to 22-year-old program. These students are spending a significant amount of time out in the community. They're doing work-based learning. They're learning daily living skills, independent living skills, and they'll stay with us predominantly until they're 22 years old. We also have 2 programs, a newer program this year, but our first program is SAND, Students Achieving New Directions, and again, this is for grades 8 through 12 for students who are experiencing social and emotional challenges. And then we were able to really look at the needs of those students, and we created another program called WAVE. We accept and value education for students who have developed some of those skills that they can really utilize in their classrooms and in the community, but still need a little support for some of the social emotional challenges. So it's been a really nice transition for students who don't need as much support as they did in SAND, and are kind of graduating into a less restrictive program. So those are all of our intensive programs across the district. The other types of programs, and I call everything a program, but services that we have are related services. And that includes our speech and language pathologists, our occupational therapists, nursing, our physical therapist, our orientation and mobility for our kids who are struggling with some vision impairments. We have our TVI for those which is for vision impairments. It's teacher of visually impaired for students who have visual impairments. And my last one down there, I don't know why I can't see it. Our TOD, which is our teacher of the deaf for our students who have hearing impairments. All of these related service providers service our students. Several of them are contracted either through the collaborative or through another organization like Perkins School for the Blind. So most of those, other than our PT, OT, speech, and nursing, are definitely contracted. We have an amazing clinical team, but our clinical and counseling includes our mental health coordinator, our board-certified behavior analyst, our adjustment counselors, our school counselors, and our school psychologists. One of the things that's important to our school counselors is there used to be a differentiation between a guidance counselor and a school counselor, and they have changed that designation to school counselor. Guidance counselors seem to be, really pigeonholed at the high school and kind of working on college and, resume building and those pieces. But what they failed to realize is that they were doing all that clinical work with our students as well. So they're pleased that they're all called school counselors now. But at the high school, certainly, they still work on that college preparation and those activities with our students. We also have what's called extended school year services, and in order to be eligible for extended school year services through special education, you have to demonstrate that you've regressed significantly in the skills that when you return to school that it would take twice as long for you to recoup those as your peers. So they assess all year long and determine whether a student would benefit from extended school year service so that regression doesn't, continue throughout the summer until they return to school. We currently run 2 different programs. We run an intensive program for 6 weeks, and that's for all of the students that participate in the programs I talked about. And then we have an academic program that runs 4 weeks. And that is staffed by typically most of our special education teachers and our instructional assistants. We do provide transportation for students to this program, and it's housed at the high school and at Howard Elementary. And then finally, the most restrictive of programming is our out-of-district, and our students who are in our out-of-district programs have significant disabilities that could not otherwise be serviced here in our schools. And we have 2 out-of-district coordinators that support our students out of district. And our projections for next year are pretty flat, although I have to say very excitedly that we have a couple of students who are ready to transition back. So very excited about those students and the work that they're doing to get back to their schools. So the financial piece, which is very complex. I'm going to keep using that word. It's so complex. But we get finances through our Chapter 70, through Circuit Breaker, through our IDA grant, and through Medicaid reimbursement for special education services. So what I want to look at is, from a financial perspective, is there a way to get rid of that bottom? Because I don't think we can. I don't know. I want that bottom number. So as we look at the cost of our programming, and especially out of district, and I've done this exercise, a few years in a row, and what I really want to demonstrate is that our continued growth in our programs in the district far exceed what it would cost to send students out of district, meaning the savings. So what I try to do is I take the lowest tuition, for this exercise, the absolute lowest. And right now, the lowest tuition is a little over $63,000 for a day placement. It's a collaborative. Now, mind you, the range of tuition goes from $63,000 for day placement up to $200,000 and up to $400,000 for residential per student, But for this, I just want to demonstrate the level of cost savings we have for our programs. So if I look at the number of students currently supported through our intensive programs, okay, and then I just multiply it by that 63. And again, remember that a lot of those students would be at a much higher rate, like at a New England Center, that would be like a $93,000 tuition. But I just want to illustrate, the cost benefit of the work that we're doing. So that's the potential cost of tuition for the number of students if, we were just to say they would go to a collaborative. For the students who have one-to-ones and their IEPs due to their, behavioral challenges or their cognitive needs, we would look at the number of students times the cost of a one-to-one. And so that total for those tuitions is listed for each of those grade areas. Our in-district, now interestingly for that, I took the highest salary, okay, versus lowest, right? Because I'm trying to really make a point here. So I took the highest salary and then the one-to-one assistance and costed that out for those number of students. And so as you can see, the difference for each of those areas is significant, with a total cost savings of $3 million for us to continue to support our in-district programs. So I hope to keep, showing this each year because it's important. It's not that we aren't accessing out-of-district, because we need out-of-district, because there are still students that have such a significant area of need that we aren't able to provide that or safely provide that. But our programs are definitely yielding a significant cost savings for the district, and they're great programs. So what I wanted to just do an overview of budget of what are the specifics that, the budget requires for special education services. First thing we look at is the out-of-district tuitions. Part of that is also deferred through our circuit breaker funds. So those cost projections for next year are based on circuit breaker as well. Our transportation costs, a couple of years we used to put transportation in our federal grant, but what happened is circuit breaker changed the formula and they now reimburse for transportation, so you can't double dip. So that's why you see zero in FY 26 and 27, because we want that in our budget because we can claim circuit breaker reimbursement for it. Extended school year services, we remain, and I used to show like 5-6 years, but I'm just showing the past few years. We're remaining pretty constant in our extended school year services. Our medical and therapeutic services, that encompasses quite a bit of service. That includes all of those contracted services, our teacher of the visually impaired, our orientation and mobility, our tutoring that is required for hospitalization. So that they're really contracted services that we need to support our students with. And what we have noticed especially with the tutoring, that is grown substantially, and that's from students who are being hospitalized. So we're required to educate students, and so we have to contract for that when they're in a hospital. So we've noticed that there has been definitely an uptick in that service. Other areas are legal fees. We always budget for legal fees. We want to make sure that we are following all of the laws in the state and federal regulations. Our testing supplies, testing has gone up a little bit because when there's a new test, you only have 2 years. When they do a new edition of a test, you only have 2 years to bring it on board. And so what we try to do is pay really close attention to what tests are being reauthored and how we can make sure that we're balancing out, okay, we can't do it this year, we'll do it next year. Testing is exorbitant. It's very costly. So the testing is like for our cognitive testing, for our achievement testing, for our speech and language testing, all the tests that the evaluators need when they're evaluating a student. So that is pretty costly. We have a budget for instructional materials, equipment, and technology that our students need in order to make effective progress. And then we also budget for professional development. So our grants, we have right now what's called the 240 and the 262. So that is our federal entitlement grant. It hasn't really gone up a whole lot. As a matter of fact, in some areas, it's gone down. But those entitlement grants support everything that the general budget cannot support. So, for example, if I have a student who needs, for example, a Hoyer lift, okay, because they're not able to get out of the wheelchair and they need support to get on, to the toilet. That's an example. That's a $7,000 piece of equipment. Or if a student needs specialized hearing equipment, that's our responsibility to pay it. So the grant really pays for a lot of that specialized equipment that you can't account for. You don't know necessarily that they might need. It also pays for a portion of instructional assistance that we put into that grant. It also pays for some additional professional development, and then it pays for some other unforeseen expenses that we can't account for, like an independent evaluation. We might need an evaluation from a highly specialized evaluator. For example, we have the need for evaluators that speak Spanish or Portuguese or Mandarin, and we can't test a student if that is their native language without that psychologist with that language. So the grant covers quite a bit of unforeseen costs, so we're very grateful to have that. The happy news is I'm not asking for any dollars here, and of course you have the full budget, and Michael does the full detail, but what I did want to point out is some just a budget neutral shift that we're making. We're trying to be very mindful in how we can utilize our resources across our 4 schools, and so what we did look at for next year is originally there was a 1.0 speech and language pathologist budgeted for the middle school. As we did our kind of evaluation of the student needs for next year, we only need 0.6. But what we did need is we needed additional support at Chatham Elementary School. So that staff person was at 0.8, and we're able to take 0.2 and make them 1.0. The nice thing about moving the speech-language pathologist at CES to 1.0 is they can also help support the middle school if there's an additional evaluation needs. So it's really trying to use our resources in a very effective and efficient way. What we also noticed is that at Chatham Elementary, especially now that we have PUPs and now that we have an intensive special needs program at Chatham Elementary, we needed to increase our counselor. So we took the remaining 0.2 and we increased our counselor at CES to 1.0. There isn't a psychologist at Chatham Elementary, but we do have budgeted 0.2 for evaluations specifically at Chatham Elementary, and that's worked out well. The evaluation schedule at Chatham Elementary is very low. So that was a great use of our kind of assessment of what we needed, and the students are getting more what they need from the counselor than if we had a psychologist. So happy to report on that. And finally, some of the additional services and responsibilities, Section 504, that is a district oversight that I see for the 504 coordinators in each of the buildings. Again, Section 504 supports individuals with disabilities with an accommodation plan so that they can access their learning and have a level playing field. McKinney-Vento is our homeless population, our foster care, our migrant workers, our military, and that is required to have a McKinney-Vento coordinator in the district. I meet monthly with the state on, what it is that we're required to do. One of the nice things we put in place this year, especially for our homeless families, is when there's a registration, it comes to me, and I can reach out to them, and I can welcome them, and I can provide them with resources, and just, really give them an opportunity to have somebody that they can go to if they are struggling or have questions. So that's been really nice. We also have a connection with the Department of Children of Family, and again, DCF also manages the foster care, so we have to meet with them regularly to support our families. Those families move quite a bit in and out of our district, and our responsibility is to really support our students with a consistency. So we coordinate transportation, we coordinate services, and hopefully, they can get to a place where they are with a consistent family. In terms of the Title IX covers both investigation for harassment and for sexual harassment, and that is for anyone within our district. It could be staff, it could be students, so that is required as well. And finally, you have to have a civil rights coordinator who manages that across the district. So this isn't in your, because I got so excited about this and I completely forgot about it, and it's something new we're doing this year. So when a family participates in an individual education program meeting, right, for their child, an IEP meeting, this year we have put at the end of the meeting summary minutes that you get at a meeting, an opportunity to provide feedback on your experience with the IEP process. And so I was really excited to share this because although it's, only 14 responses, as of today it was 17, it was 100% of our families were saying that they were really pleased with the process, they were pleased with the team, they were pleased with the outcome, and that's not what I expected, to be honest with you. I was expecting to hear, from folks that maybe weren't so happy and really wanting to know, what can we do better? What can we do to help this process be really good for you? So I just wanted to share that because clearly our teams are doing a great job, and I'm proud of them, and I'm really pleased that, we're offering this opportunity. And it is anonymous, so you don't need to put your name. Some families are choosing to do that, but there isn't a spot for it. So I wanted to share that. And then finally, my favorite part of my presentation, Thank you. Questions?
Any questions?
Comment? Sure. Thank you, Melissa. This was a wonderful presentation. I really, really liked how organized this was, and so much good information to get a really good understanding of what the role is and what the department is, and how it just has so many different aspects to it. Of course, love the video. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
All right, moving right along to FY27 budget.
I'm making all sorts of noises tonight. Yeah, all right.
Good evening, school committee. Well, still. I'm just here budget update. So you voted to approve the budget after the public hearing. And since then, we have shared that budget with the town of Chatham and the town of Harwich. And we have not yet received any substantive feedback from the town of Harwich. So they have been in touch to let us know that they have a new town administrator coming in, and he starts on Monday. And so that's caused a bit of a delay to sort of progressing normally we agree the budget and then they give us some feedback and we revise to get closer to where they need us to be, if possible. But this year we've not been able to really get moving with that process while we wait for the town administrator to come in. So we are meeting with the new town administrator on Monday, the day he arrives, to get some feedback from him. Although he has not started, he has been reviewing. We know he's been in touch to let us know he has been reviewing our budget, trying to get an idea of where the town is on it. But we've not been able to update the budget. The town of Chatham, we presented to them, we've presented their FinCom and their select board. They were broadly supportive. They didn't vote at that time as they wanted to wait and see if there were going to be any changes. But so we're kind of in this kind of holding pattern. We have scheduled a vote today to approve the budget. So what we would like to do, is suggest that you approve or re-vote the same budget again, just to approve that as our most up-to-date draft of the budget. We will then share that with the towns again. We will meet with the town administrator on Monday, and if there are any updates, we'll be able to bring that to a meeting of the finance subcommittee next week, which has been scheduled for their review, and we'll discuss any changes that come from those meetings. And then we'll be able to go back to the select board on Monday the 23rd, and then come to school committee on the 26th. So it's a little backwards and it's a little kind of compressed, but we're in the town of Harwich need to have a final number by March 30th so that they can have their warrant closes on April 1st. So we're kind of squashed. That deadline's not moving, but we've been squashed while we've been waiting for the town administrator to arrive. So I've outlined the timeline in that memo. But the town of Chatham, this is a little late for them, so what their plan to do at the moment, unless things change drastically, is to take this budget that's voted tonight and take that in and put that in their warrant. And then if there is a change, because most likely if there is a change, it will be to reduce the budget and assessments. I can't see any scenario where they go up. So they would be reducing their budget, and they would do that on town meeting floor. So that's, as a finance person, it's a lot easier to reduce a number because then to increase it. So they were kind of fine with that plan because they've got they can balance their budget with the number, and then we would hopefully have an updated number for Harwich. I should have said. So we go to Harwich Select Board on the 23rd after having met with the FinCom, give them a sense of where the budget is, but it's subject to final approval of the school committee on March 26th. And then on March 30th, the last night the Select Board meet before they finalise the warrant, they would vote the final draft of the budget. You with me?
Questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion, Madam Chair. Motion to approve the draft fiscal year 27 budget and assessments as presented to the school committee.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay,
We really tried for this not to be last minute, but it is, again.
we did. It was a valiant effort
Yeah.
through the whole budget season. Yes, thank you. Next is subcommittee representative liaison reports. We did have a finance subcommittee meeting. Jackie's not here, so just sharing that basically what we discussed in our subcommittee meeting is exactly what Michael just said. The superintendent evaluation subcommittee did have a meeting. Would anyone like to share?
I wasn't there, sorry.
So we did have a meeting. We moved the March meeting back towards the end of March, so it wasn't as close to the February meeting, just to give a little time to go over some stuff. And then the big thing that Missy Bretlong came up with was that superintendent evaluation schedule that was presented earlier, so more information to come.
Okay. All right, moving right along to superintendent's report.
Sure, I would just, dovetailing on, at least on the backside of subcommittees, we had a building committee meeting last night, so just some highlights from the building committee, unless Rich wants to go and come present. No. Anyway, we have an absolutely wonderful building committee, and we were discussing last night two big topics. The first is the siding project. I feel like it's a little surreal, but it's March 12th, and the the renovation project at the middle school begins March 30th. So, so it's fast coming upon us. What people will start to see in the near future is erecting of construction fence that there will be construction fence that'll be going up along the side and backside of the fifth grade wing, where we'll go have a spot where the contractor can lay down some materials. And also, if you were to go behind the building, where the parents sort of drop off and pick up on the backside, there'll be an area there that'll be sort of have fencing put up, that will be another spot that the laydown will begin. The contractor will begin on the backside of the Slim Jim on the outside, and then also be doing high up work. There's actually siding all the way up on the cupola, so you can imagine, they're going to try to get the high work done. They'll be doing that over the first about 6 weeks, heading into the middle of May. They will be going from essentially where my office is in this, to the backside of the fifth grade wing. So they'll be kind of going down that face. As Dr. Millen discussed with the calendar, I think what started to give me angst as those snow days were piling up is just the reality that the construction projects getting closer and closer and closer, and that we had intended to give the contractor the full building over for 10 weeks to go do the bulk of the siding and the windows, and that snowstorm compressed a 10-week construction construction into a 9-week, and in theory, if they have the right amount of staffing and everything, it should get done. But we also don't know if there are things that that might be unexpected that show up. But we also don't know if Mother Nature will deal us other storms, either snowy or rainy between now and then. So, so there's a lot of, there's a lot of angst that I have, and I keep trying to get to a place where I can just say, oh, it's Robin, Robin can deal with it. But, so anyway, but it's coming fast and furious. So next time you meet, less than a handful of days later, the renovation will begin. The second big thing that we discussed is the roofing project, because we will be taking forward to town meetings this year, the roofing project. Mother Nature, put a lot of snow on our roof over the last several weeks, and you can imagine, as that snow has melted, it's helped us understand where the roof really needs to be replaced. And, so we have some good videos that we'll be sharing out just on why the roof needs to get replaced, when it shouldn't be raining in a classroom. But it's, so it's important that we move that project forward. The project, and the architects were here, virtually earlier in one of our meetings, presenting is an $11.8 million project for the total cost of the project, and that the state would reimburse 37% of that project cost. What we found out in recent weeks is that the MSBA has decided that there's a portion of our roof that is considered too new to replace, so that they won't reimburse costs for that part of the roof. And for those of you that remember, a little over 7 years ago, there was a nor'easter that came through, and it ripped off a significant portion of the Chatham Elementary Library's roof, but it also ripped off the front side, the side facing Kroll Road of the fifth grade wing of the high school just kind of got lifted off. So, so the state's saying that, that section of roof that is, about 7-ish years old, they won't reimburse us, but we know full well that the roofing that's up there is not sort of like nailed and glued down and would resist another nor'easter coming in. So, so we do think it's important that, that the entire roof gets replaced and gets replaced and secured in a way that makes that building storm resistant for decades, for decades to come. So if we were to replace the entire roof, and just look at the, the blended state reimbursement, the state would still be reimbursing 33% of the total cost of doing the roof right. But it's really important for our towns that we pass this at town meeting this year and not lose having the state pay for 33% of the roof. So if the state pays for that 33% of the roof, that means that we would only have to borrow, as a school district, $7.9 million, which then gets split based on the regional agreement between our two towns. So, so that's that was the bulk of the conversation last night at the building committee meeting, while everybody was sitting around saying, well, let's look and see when the contractor starts to take, we're going to know what's under the shingles once they start getting into the replacing the siding of the backside, the backside of the Slim Jim, and maybe have a little better feel for, is this doable in 9 weeks? Are they going to need 10 weeks? Or will, Robin go gray really fast? So just in terms of recognitions, we've got a few here. First, just want to announce that kindergarten registration's now open for Chatham Elementary and Harwich Elementary School. All children living in Chatham or Harwich who will be age 5 before September 1st, 2026 are eligible to enroll for kindergarten for school next year. The enrollment information is on the school's or is on the website, monomoy.edu/kindergarten. Congratulations to our high school robotics team, competed at states this last weekend, where they had a great time, learned a lot, their robots performed well, and they ended up just below the cutoff for the finals. Our high school winter sports did quite exceptionally this season, coming in close. Congrats to all the teams, our girls and boys hockey teams and our girls and boys basketball teams all made it to the playoffs this year. Our cheerleading team finished 4th in the Division IV state championships and will be competing at the New England Regional Competition on March 21st. And some members of an indoor track team are competing at nationals in New York and Boston this weekend as well. Kudos to our high school theater program for putting on a fantastic performance of The Addams Family going on now. You can catch the show Friday and Saturday nights at 7 p.m. and a matinee at 2 p.m. And then I'd just like to compliment Mr. Morgan. I've been sitting at the table for, this is now year 17 as a superintendent, and rarely has the student rep spoke out at a meeting. And your voice is the one that is so important, and I'm glad that you felt empowered to speak out, and I look forward to hearing you provide Dr. Millen with many more recommendations on December 23rd. I have lots of ideas for that, so, but share them her direction. But I also like to congratulate Dan. Dan, who is our school committee student rep, has been elected as a delegate to the 2026 Massachusetts Democratic Convention. This is an enormous accomplishment, requiring him to speak before town caucus members about why he's motivated to participate politically. Clearly, if everyone was watching on television tonight, Dan's ready for that. He'll be one of the youngest, if not the youngest member at the convention this May to vote to determine which candidates for state office will qualify on the primary ballot. Dan is also interning at State Rep Hadley Luddy's office, so congrats, Dan, and keep up the good work and advocacy. That's it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you want to say anything about that?
I mean, it's a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of myself.
You'll have to report back. All right, so we have had the presentation of warrants, so just looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? We will adjourn at 8:26. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Meredith.